Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kellie.
It's 2022, people.
Woo!
We had a nice week off. It was actually a little more than that, but as far as you know, it's just 1 week off. How do you feel, Kellie? You feel refreshed?
Yes. I feel like a totally new person. The year has gone and passed me by, and things have changed for me. I have a squishmallow now, and I can't remember her name because they have names, but I can't remember her name. But she's very squishy. And I'm wearing blue light blocking glasses. And that's all the updates for 2022 for Kellie.
Yeah, it's helpful because Kellie's glasses are incredibly reflective. So her looking at her screen reflects all of our information that we have for the show, which means I don't even need the information now. I just look at Kellie's glasses in the stream and, I'm set. I can read everything. But
Yes.
She is also reflecting all of that blue light directly at me. I think that's how they work, right?
Yeah, it's like a laser beam.
Yeah, so
Beow.
I am getting extra blue light. That is my 2022 update. Do they have just blue light glasses?
No, but you could probably be the first person to invent them.
Yeah, because all I want is those blue lights to just burn my retinas.
I want to be awake all night because my circadian rhythms are off.
Because of my blue light glasses, which are the same name. That's the other thing. They're going to be called the same thing, blue light glasses. But
Right.
If you read the fine print, it's actually just blue light.
The branding is very confusing.
Yeah, but that's how I'll make most of my money. Is confusing people. Yeah. It's not a scam. They should have just read the fine print on the back of their blue light glasses
Right.
box.
Box, right.
Thank you.
Definitely, yeah, not a scam. Consumers just need to pay more attention. I'm always saying this.
Yeah.
Except for you consumers of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew.
You pay all the attention already. We know it.
We really appreciate your blind obedience.
And they're blind because of all the blue light that you reflect at them.
Yes.
How much would you pay for just blue light glasses?
$1 billion.
I'd pay 10 cents.
Oh.
We talk
Oh.
about the next company so much that I'm starting to think. I think I made that joke once.
I think you did too.
Should I retry or do we
No,
just
I
okay?
think-
Oh. I'm committed
No.
to it. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna.
You're in the pool. You can't just unwet yourself,
What?
like you've already jumped in the pool, so you can't dry. Like you can't.
What? Are there
Like,
any?
you can't-
Are there any turtles in the pool?
No, but there's a turtle rock.
In the pool, or there just is one?
There just is one. All this to say, our first piece of news for 2022, Tencent has acquired Turtle Rock Studios, developers of games such as Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, and Tencent, giant conglomerate, Genshin Impact. You know the deal. We've talked about Tencent quite a bit, but the details are as follows.
We're really starting 2022 off to a good start.
There's not actually that many details. Turtle Rock is still gonna function as Turtle Rock. It's not going to be like a new studio or anything like that, but they're owned by Tencent now, and especially with their new game Back 4 Blood, apparently will not be affected by this in any way, shape, or form. I don't know.
That's the thing with all these Tencent acquisitions, though, over the past year, because we've reported on Tencent acquisitions of companies, I swear, every other week since we started the show. the line is just, this will not affect anything. This will not affect anything. And at a certain point, it's like, it has to. Why else would you do this? Like, you clearly have an agenda. And I'm assuming it's to monetize all these games in a kind of similar fashion, but we just haven't seen that effect yet. And it kind of scares me, especially for games like this that are like, or for studios like this that create live service games. It could really be a dangerous precedent if these games turn into the products that Tencent is known for making,
Yeah. Yeah. I can't say I have a horse in this race because I don't really care about Back 4 Blood. It does not interest me. But I do think you're right. It is a little bit alarming for the future of a lot of other games, what that means for them, like quality-wise.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. The acquisitions seem to be getting more and more notable. Like, Turtle Rock is really up there, I think.
Yeah.
And it's going to get to a point where some studios that are really important start getting acquired. Although I feel like you and I tend to fall more onto the single player side of gaming, and it doesn't seem like Tencent really cares about that.
Yeah. Yeah, they have not stuck their little fingies in it yet.
However, they have convinced Remedy, single player developer, to stick their little fingies in it. Because I take that one back. Tencent is working with Remedy to develop a new multiplayer game. I don't know about you, Kelly, but I saw this news and had a conniption of sorts. I almost passed on because I thought it was saying that Tencent acquired Remedy, which would be not good. That one would be enormously disappointing. But they are working with Remedy on a new multiplayer game. Details are pretty scant at this point, but it's weird that they're doing this. I wouldn't have imagined Remedy making a multiplayer game to begin with, and working with Tencent just seems really strange to me.
Yeah, it's very random. Like, of all the like big people that you could work with, you choose Tencent. Doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, I guess it's all about the money, the moolah, and you can probably see how much money Tencent brings in, but still just a little bit weird. Like, what multiplayer game could you be making? Because I don't know.
I'm assuming it'll be new IP because none of their IPs really seem transferable to multiplayer.
Yeah. You're saying you don't want Alan Wake Control Battle Royale game?
I want that more than I can describe. And I hope that Tencent makes it just like Genshin Impact and puts anime girls in it too.
Yeah. Me too, yeah.
Alan Wake just chilling with a kawaii girl.
Hatsune Miku and Alan Wake in a Battle Royale.
Just them. Those are your only two character options.
Yeah. Everybody else can take a hike.
Yeah. They can take two.
Oh. Take-Two has acquired Zynga. Zynga. Just kidding. It's just Zynga. Makers of, Farmville.
My favorite game.
Big mobile game developer. Take-Two acquired them for $12.7 billion with a B, a capital B, dollars.
Spit take. I'm not actually going to spit my drink out because it would make my computer sticky, but
that is a lot of money for a developer.
The most ever, actually.
Oh my gosh.
Because it surpasses the previous record, which was ZeniMax's acquisition by Microsoft, which was $8-something billion.
Yeah. That one was big, but this Farmville, forget about it.
It's just incredible to me that, like, that's a lot of money. This feels... The biggest thing to me is that this feels a few years late. Because I feel like the properties that Take-Two has, Grand Theft Auto and stuff, translating that to a mobile game makes a lot of sense and will make a lot of money. But if they did that like 3 or 4 years ago, it would have made astronomical sums of money,
Yeah.
This almost feels like a little like they missed the boat on this one.
Yeah, it feels like somebody got scammed.
But I think they would disagree because they spent $12.7 billion, so they really think it's worth it.
Yeah.
And I guess
I'm not...
they have, like, Zynga has a bunch of game properties that are bringing in huge sums of money every single year, and Take-Two now just gets those profit streams. So in that sense, I guess it's probably like kind of a safety net because they get those profit streams guaranteed. And then if they utilize all these mobile developers to make their properties into money machines as well, like if they just put Grand Theft Auto Online on mobile, that's it. That's all the money in the world. They would just get all of it.
Yeah.
So this is, I feel like one of the biggest stories of 2021 was X acquires X, or X acquires Y, I should say. It's just every week we had a different company buying a different company. Microsoft buying this, PlayStation buying that, Tencent buying everything else. And now it is very evident that that is not going to stop in 2022. It wasn't a fluke that it happened last year. It's going to probably happen until every studio has been bought up.
Yeah. It's just a big, it's just like a big creature, just like, nom, 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 like a big cookie monster.
Yeah. Independence.
Except not as lovable as Cookie Monster.
No. Independence be darned. It's just going to be 5 giant conglomerates in a few years.
Kind of like every other media empire, movies.
Yeah, movies especially. I feel like this exact thing happened halfway through last decade?
When Disney bought Marvel, it was all over.
When was that? Like 2013 or something?
I think it was 14.
Yeah, and then it was just everything else got bought within a few years after that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that happens less these days because there's nothing left to buy.
Right. It's all been done.
But most game studios, third-party game studios, are still unowned. They're just their own things that work with different companies, so.
Yeah, they're not very fungible.
Nice transition. Square Enix president, he sent out a letter on the first of the year to let stakeholders know about the future of the company. And he stated that they have grand plans to start integrating NFTs into their games, which I would say that's probably a great thing. Would you agree? Yeah. I just want to read one quote from him to give you an idea of how I feel about this one. Quote, I realize that some people who, quote, play to have fun, quote, and who currently form the majority of players, have voiced their reservations toward these new trends, and understandably so. I don't need to read more. Why are you... That should be the entirety of the article.
I don't play for fun, okay? I play to win. I play to win Moogles. I play to win money. I play to make a name for myself, okay? If you think I play video games for fun, you got another thing coming, buddy.
I just need tokens that aren't fungible.
I don't want to funge. They cannot be fungible. Don't you understand?
Please, no funging in my games. Is funge a verb?
You cannot own this. Only I do. Do not funge me.
This is another trend that went real hard in the last chunk of last year, and we talked about it a little bit with the Stalker 2 stuff, especially, which it should be noted, the creators of Stalker 2 stepped back on their statement and said that NFTs will no longer be a part of the game. But that was a little bit too little too late. I was kind of, I lost faith when they announced that because they were so, unaware of what consumers wanted that I don't want to play their game anymore. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping the backlash is so severe to other companies that this is like a very open and shut story over the next couple months, that we talk about a couple other companies using NFTs and then it ends.
Yeah.
But there's
I
also a
know.
chance that it won't end.
I mean, I'm so sick of hearing about these things. It's like there's only so much stupid I can take in my brain before it starts to turn into goo, and I think I'm at the goo threshold. um, I think my biggest, well, we don't have to get into it, but it's like
Do it.
it's
Get
just
into it.
it's just an opportunity. It's like, we get it. Companies are designed to make money, and that's what video games are designed to do. But it's also like, it's so shameless and like so gross to be so open about it. Because literally that's the entire point of like blockchain and like NFT and like crypto stuff in video games, is literally just to make money. And it's like, it's doing it in a way that is so fundamentally bad for the environment, and in a way that people just don't really care about, except for a very select group of people. But your regular audience probably isn't going to care. So it's a very, just, I don't know, it's a very clear attempt to just be like, money, 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 Mr.
Yeah.
Krabs behavior. But
Square Enix president, Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krabs, president of Square Enix. Of course, Square Enix isn't the only company that has decided that NFTs are fun and cool and good for video games.
I wonder who you could talk about. It must be a great company that you're about to mention.
It's our favorite, your favorite, Konami. So the 35th anniversary of the Castlevania franchise has came upon us, and they did something really, really cool. They released a new. Oh wait, no, they didn't do that. They said, we are going to do NFT. We're going to do a special sale of NFTs for Castlevania's 35th anniversary. That's 35 years of Castlevania. And we get a really cool, fun gift of paying fake money for screenshots from old Castlevania games. Woo!
Non-fungible, more like not fun.
Oh, that was really good.
Thanks.
Yeah, Konami is selling NFTs, quote unquote, for the 35th anniversary. These, the fungible token, the non-fungible tokens in question are literally screenshots, of old Castlevania games, but not like, it's not even, they're like not even.
It's not like unique developer screenshots that you couldn't get otherwise.
Nope. You could go on the website that posted this story, and you could right click and save the screenshots, and then you own it. And it's very fungible. But if you pay money, you can have it, and it's not fungible. And I think that's how a good economy should work.
Totally, that you could just I just love when I go to the bank and I right click and take money out without consequence.
I say, this is good and legal, actually. And I'm not laundering any money, okay? This is all real. Nothing's being laundered. Okay? Except for my socks at the laundromat.
You burned Castlevania or Konami with that one. They got
whatever
burned.
I am so over this NFT thing. It's not even funny. Like I said, I'm at the goo threshold, okay?
This one feels particularly painful because, like, I already get upset about Konami just leaving these franchises dormant. These brilliant, like, history-full, beautiful franchises are just dead in the water. And instead of bringing them back for an anniversary as an exciting revival and something to look forward to and a new artistic expression of the game, it's just money grabbing, more money grabbing. And I think Konami is stinky.
Me too. P.U.
P.U.
P freaking U.
Hey, Kelly.
Yeah?
So we're talking about something something that everybody likes and very popular, and we know somebody who loves these things. They love NFTs.
Yeah.
And I don't know for sure, but I think they have a large wallet of crypto.
Yeah.
They really like their non-fungible content.
They are a non-fungible person. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're on the forefront of the whole metaverse thing. and thank God their birthday is upon us. Would you like to wish happy birthday to this person who loves non-fungible tokens and crypto and the metaverse and Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah, this is my most sincerest of happiest of birthdays to Cameron. If you're listening, I hope you find the perfect non-fungible token for yourself. I know how much you love that stuff. And I hope you have a good birthday. And if you wish to physically fight me, we can arrange that.
Yeah. But it wouldn't be fungible, just to be clear.
No, fungible, no. You cannot reach you. That is a token. It's not fungible. I'm giving it to you. Any opportunity to physically fight me, I am down. I've got my fisticuffs always ready. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Cameron. I don't know how NFTs work exactly, but I'm declaring this episode not fungible and all yours. Congrats. This is your NFT.
Woo! Congratulations on the NFT. You didn't even have to spend any money on it.
Right. We did just lose one listener, though.
Whom?
Cameron.
Oh, I don't like. I don't like this anymore. Yeah. I'm being targeted on my birthday.
For those listening who do not know us personally, I highly recommend against being our friend.
I would say. Okay, yeah, true.
Moving on with the actual video game news, Sony has confirmed some details, including the name of the PlayStation VR successor. You'll never guess this name. It's called PSVR 2. They also announced a Horizon spinoff called Call of the Mountain. Call of the Mountain? I don't know why that word was difficult. They just released some tech specs. They confirmed that it would be OLED, that it would have a really high resolution inside the eyes. The one thing that did disappoint me that was confirmed was that you have to use a wire. And I do understand that allows for easier transmission of very high quality games than using like Bluetooth or wireless or something. But also, I don't like wires. And Oculus Quest has really spoiled me with its wireless VR capabilities. And I feel like a wire is really going to bring this one down for me. But it also, it has a lot of really high quality things. Like, it seems like a really top-notch VR headset, and it being able to use the PS5 speaks numbers for how good it's going to look. So we'll see. I mean, it's supposed to come out this year.
I think it will. I see it. I see it with my third eye.
Okay.
It will be coming out this year.
What's the release date? Does your third eye tell you that?
July.
What? That's not holiday.
17th.
That's not even the 4th of July to me.
That's like holiday for 4th of July. Come on. Like holiday could be November.
Can we release a holiday episode on July 17th?
Yeah, it'll be like Christmas in July.
The 17th isn't even on Christmas. That's the 25th.
All right. You know what?
I don't know. Tell me.
I'm offended.
Well, have you considered not being a snowflake? Which you'll see at the top of the mountain in Horizon, Call of the Mountain. Snowflakes, maybe. I don't actually know anything about it because we don't know anything about it besides some screenshots.
Call of the Mountain?
Yeah. You don't like that title?
It's bad. It's really bad. Call of the Mountain? Call of the Mountain. Let's unpack that. The mountain is calling to us.
Yeah, it has a cell phone.
It's one mountain, and we are being called there.
Yeah.
And that's the game.
I think game might be a generous term.
That's the experience.
I don't know a lot. We don't know a lot about this game. But I have a strong feeling this will not be a normal game. And also, part of me is like, well, they can't release it this holiday. There's no games for it. And then I'm like, oh, wait, they released the PlayStation 5 with no games. I don't know why the VR headset would be any different.
Yeah, I don't think they care that much, to be honest.
I was interested in a PSVR too, but honestly, after hearing about this stuff, I'm like, if you're not going to offer me anything supremely more interesting than the Oculus Quest 2, I'm not going to drop money on this, you know? Like, yeah, the Oculus Quest 2 is less capable, but it's cheaper. It is not wired, and I already have one.
Right.
So I'm not going to, unless you have some really cool games, which Horizon Call of the Mountain is not good enough to buy a console for, I'm not down. Also, I feel like I want to know more about it beyond these just tech specs that were probably a given anyway.
Yeah, I would like to see it.
That was weird to me that they showed all this stuff. They announced it. They said all these details. They named it. We've seen the controllers. We know a spinoff coming to it, but we haven't seen the thing. And that's the most important part because it's on your face.
Yeah.
If you expect me to
be a helmet.
Well, they also confirmed there's no speakers in it, which I think is kind of bullcrap because that means you have to use headphones, which I don't like.
I want like a full haptic bodysuit. Like if someone is like, if I'm in the ocean in the game, I want it to feel like I'm in the ocean in real life.
We can arrange that. I could throw you in that same pool where the Turtle Rock is.
Well, you can't unwet yourself. I'm always saying that.
I know you haven't always said that, because if you always said that, we wouldn't be friends. I would have jumped ship very early on.
Wow. I didn't know my friendship meant that little to you. You know what means little to me?
What? No matter what you say, it's going to sound mean now.
I don't care about Ken Levine. Levine.
Like, he's like Adam.
Yeah. So Ken Levine, you know him. He was 2K when they did
Bioshock
Infinite.
That's it, right?
Yeah,
he
was
made
like
System
the
Shock
director.
as well.
Yes, System Shock. That was a big one. He was the director of those games. And he split off to do his own thing, to make his own studio. And the game that they were working on has been in development for like 8 years because he's not a good manager. I'll be the first to say it, folks. They say because of his rigid management style, he's just a bad manager. Period. Point blank. This whole article came out where people working under Ken Levine were like, yeah, he kind of like doesn't like anybody's ideas. And I think the thing that made me laugh about the article was they were saying they wanted to do Kenception, like Inception, where they like go into the dream and they plant the idea and they make you think that it was your idea. They were like, we wish we could do that with him. I'm like, that is like the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So that's why not the next Bioshock game, but that's why that game, quote unquote, has been in development for like 8 years.
If this shouldn't be surprising. I feel like he seems like the type of auteur in gaming who needs a very rigid, for lack of a better word, manager above him to make sure that he doesn't just do whatever he wants,
Yeah, he seems very up his own about it. Like everybody's like, Bioshock is the best, is such a great narrative. It's the best game. And like, it's a great game and it's a great narrative. But I think his head maybe got a little too big about that.
100%. And I've never like personally thought he was like this incredible guy. I just thought he made a good game. And
yeah,
honestly, like, you know what he reminds me of is like Kojima where I think Kojima was able to flourish partially because Konami had pretty strict requirements for his games and such. So like he still got to be himself and be weird, just like Ken Levine did with BioShock and BioShock Infinite. But
Right.
the restraints allowed him to make a functional, deliverable product as well. And then even when he went quote unquote independent, it was on Sony's dollar. And I'm sure there was a lot of corporate pressure to make sure he still made a functional game. And I don't think Ken Levine really has that pressure. And also, he seems a little bit like a pretentious guy who only thinks his ideas are worth listening to, which this article definitely agrees with that sentiment.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's how I am with Andrew.
Yeah.
He'll give me an idea and I'll be like, no.
Yeah. I actually wanted us to record this show like on top of a prairie. And Kelly was like, "That's ridiculous, Andrew. How would we get our microphones there?" And I said, "Well, Kelly, we'd carry them." And she screamed. Her rigid management did not allow for that.
It wasn't pretty, folks.
And here we are now. I'm recording in my closet. Oh, that's a fun little update. You gave your update about your squishmallow at the beginning of the episode, and I didn't even think to give a legitimate update.
Yeah.
I record this show in a closet. It is a large closet. I am not smushed in here. I have a chair. But over our break, I got soundproofing, and I legitimately soundproofed the heck out of this room. And I got a new microphone. It has an arm, so I might sound a little better. And also, it's not on the little table in front of me, so I don't have to hurt my back recording the show anymore. So those are my updates.
Those are good updates.
Kelly does not like my new studio because there's a lot less light now because all of the white walls are covered and there's no light bouncing. So I look like I'm recording in an actual cave now on camera.
Yeah. It's a little bit spooky.
So I need to acquire a ring light or something. Who's to say what'll happen?
Who is to say? Not me.
I'm going to give the right to say to my good old pal, my friend, my oldest friend in the world. Shout out to Sonic. His birthday's in a couple days. It's
kind of funny. He has the same birthday.
as
No. Unless,
are
they?
Are they the same? Sonic's very fast from what we know. I've never seen the two of them in the same room.
Oh, I think we just blew the lid on this story.
All right. Well, I guess we thought we were friends with somebody named Cameron, but we're now aware that we're friends with Sonic the Hedgehog. Congrats on your new film, Cameron.
Yeah.
How was Idris Elba?
Please.
Can you give Idris Elba's phone number to Kelly?
Who said that?
That was Sonic, who's very fast and entered the room. And I have a Sonic plush right next to me.
Aww.
This is a very confusing tangent. I'm going to get back on the story.
Yeah.
Sonic Frontiers, the new Open Sonic game, was supposed to come out in holiday of 2021, but was delayed a full year to increase quality. This story, I think, is either fantastic or ridiculously arrogant. Because it's either fantastic because, like, wow, good for Sega for, like, actually delaying this game for a whole year. That's a huge deal to make sure the product is finished. Or it was never going to come out this year and they just want to make themselves feel better about it. And we will not know until it comes out. Because if it's a broken mess, this comment truly meant nothing. I hope that if it's as true as it sounds, though, that's fantastic. That is probably what every Sonic game has needed for the past several entries in order for the game to come out properly.
Not Sonic 08. I think that game was shipped as intended.
What You mean Sonic and the Black Knight?
No.
Are you talking about Sonic 06?
Sonic 06.
I was like, I don't know what's. I think Sonic and the Black Knight came out in 2008.
Sonic 06 was perfect in every way.
That game probably would have been great if it had another year. I mean, it would have been weird. He still kisses a person.
That's not that weird. I would kiss Sonic. I wouldn't. I would kiss Knuckles. Yeah.
Are you talking about the voice actor or the person?
Yeah.
Would you kiss Idris Elba and or Matt Mercer?
No.
You wouldn't?
Matt Mercer?
The voice of Knuckles in the video games.
When is he the voice of Knuckles?
Oh, wait, maybe it's Travis Willingham.
I
Who?
don't think it's either of them.
It's one of
I've
them.
been watching a lot of Critical Role.
Yeah?
If anybody wants to have me on their D&D podcast, please do not hesitate to reach out. I am really, really bad at D&D, but I have 2 cute dice sets, well, I'm not bad at it. I just, I'm not good at it. Andrew's doing some research right now, so I'm
Yeah,
just
I
trying
would like
fill
to
the
apologize.
silence.
It's not Matt Mercer, but it is Travis Willingham, so it was my second guess.
I knew it. I
But
said
you also
that man
doubted
has
Travis
never
Willingham,
voiced.
right?
Huh?
Didn't you also doubt my Travis Willingham, or were you still
What?
riding
No,
the rage
no,
of the Matt
no.
Mercer guess?
I was, yeah, I was still angry.
I can rewind and check what you said, right?
You know what?
Anyway, would you kiss Travis Willingham or Idris Elba?
No. I think they're both happily married.
But you would kiss Knuckles the Echidna.
Yeah. He is he is single as a Pringle baby. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding you guys. It's a joke. It's not real. It's a joke, okay? It's not. I'm just joking.
I'm very excited to see more Sonic Frontiers and see Kelly's reaction to the game.
I'm excited to for Sonic to get a glider and for him to jump off tall things and glide to the ground.
Breath of the Sonic.
Breath of the Sonic. It probably smells like chili dogs.
Speaking of chili dogs.
No.
You don't like that transition?
I don't think it's very good.
Why? The next story is so closely linked to chili dogs, Kelly.
That's true. So Amazon Studios tweeted the "Please stand by" Fallout screenshot to confirm that there is a Fallout TV series reportedly in the works. I kind of feel like we knew about this, but maybe I'm wrong. I think there were rumors.
Familiar, but I think this is like all but confirmed to be happening now.
Yes. So it is supposed to be directed. Well, this is a little bit confusing. The premiere of the series, which is supposed to begin production this year, is directed by Jonathan Nolan. And then other showrunners, people that worked on Captain Marvel and like Silicon Valley, so people who've done things in the past. I don't really know about all this.
The information around this is way more convoluted and confusing than it needs to be.
It is. There's a lot of like licensing issues.
I think they should just be like Fallout TV series in the works at Amazon and just leave it at that.
Yes.
Because like
I agree.
there were like 50 names attached to this thing in every report, and I'm like,
right.
There can't be this many people like genuinely in charge of this thing.
My thinking is with any video game adaptation, other than The Witcher, I think it's fine for them to do it as long as they don't do the story of the video game. Because I feel like that sort of is lame, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
The Witcher isn't really. The Witcher's the book is based on the books, but
yeah, visually based on games in a lot of ways, but
right.
But the story is unique.
Right. So
with live action, at least, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to this. I think the world of Fallout it's got a lot of potential for a lot of really cool stories. things that we have never seen in the games but exist in the lore, places we have never seen in the games but exist in the lore. I think it could be successful. I think, honestly, I'm really looking forward to the Last of Us series, and I think that depending on how that will go, we'll sort of see the future of other video game adaptations. And I think the Fallout one could maybe, I think that it could draw a lot of inspiration, as they're both sort of post-apocalyptic worlds.
Yeah, I think the success of Last of Us largely carries the torch of live action video game adaptations, where like if that series is bad, I think it may shoot future live action adaptations in the foot for a long time.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure, because it's so much money. It's an HBO series, so it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
We'll see.
We'll see. Jinx,
What else?
you owe me
What?
a soda.
No.
All right. That's kind of messed up, but kind of breaking a promise, but it's fine. I mean, I don't.
Yep. Huh?
It's fine. No, go ahead. It's fine.
Okay. Can I go now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Final Fantasy 16 saw development delayed by 6 months due to the pandemic. This was a statement from the developers that came in the past couple weeks. They said that we should expect the next big update on this game to be coming in spring. This isn't super surprising, considering we have not seen a lick of this game since its September of 2020 announcement. I expected a very high chance of seeing this at the Game Awards, and its lack of presence made me not weary, but kind of expect that this game might not be ready to go. 6 months makes a lot of sense. That's not so bad, especially because we didn't know a release date, so it's not like they're delaying it from like March to September or something upsetting. They're simply saying, yeah, this game took us 6 months longer than expected. I'm excited to see that new update. I'm not in a huge rush to play this game because I think it needs all the time in the oven that it deserves all the time that it needs to be made.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm sorry. I would agree. I feel like, and in the grand scheme of things, spring 2022 is in like 2 months, not even. So I don't feel so bad about that, especially if it's like they're being very open about it.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. It's nice not to be left in the dark.
Yeah. I think it's very obvious that the director of this game is the same director as the revival of Final Fantasy XIV, because the transparency that they're having with the audience feels very familiar to that game. And I think it's a very positive thing as a consumer to know the progress of these games and like what's going on for them.
Right. So speaking of Final Fantasy XIV, a little expansion called Endwalker came out. And it was so popular and so fun. Everybody loved it, that they were like, this game's not for sale anymore because the servers were overwhelmed, which is really funny because I was literally about to get the game. I was about to download the game, and then it was gone the next day. So that was really funny for me because I had seen so many good things and I was like, I really want to play it. I don't care if queue times are really long. I just want to play it. I'm not really an MMO person, but I've heard so many good things. And alas, it was gone from me.
Yeah.
Ripped from my grasp. It was tragic. I wanted to make, what do they call it? It's like in Final Fantasy 12, the bunny girl.
I don't know. The bunny girl. That's all I know.
You can play as the bunny. You can play as the bunny people in Final Fantasy 14. I said that's always been my dream, was to be a bunny person. But that's everybody else's dream too, apparently, because everybody had the same idea. They said we're gonna go play Endwalker, and now you can't unless you already have the game. So that's unfortunate for me, but good for them, I guess.
I think it is back now, but as far as I know, the queue times are still obscene. And this is still, like, even if they brought it back since then, that's an insane... Like, I've never even heard of such a thing.
Is it back?
Check Steam. I didn't try to download it because I had it on PlayStation 5 a while ago, and then I didn't ever get around to playing it. I tried to open the Steam page and it won't load, so...
It's still suspended.
Oh, okay.
It says... Yeah, it's still suspended.
That's insane, because this story broke...
Like before Christmas.
Yeah, it broke... since we've released episodes since this. It happened almost a full month ago now. We just haven't recorded in so long that this story has been in our backlog of stories. So now it's been almost a full month without being able to get this game.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, good for them. Like, that's good for the developers, you know? It stinks if you wanted to get into the game right now, but it's really, really incredible that they were able to bring this game to the heights that it's at.
Yeah, especially considering where it started.
In a pile of garbage.
Much like a song.
Yes.
In the primordial soup.
Of garbage.
Of garbage.
Much like the primordial soup of garbage that is the Entertainment Software Association. I don't like the ESA.
Yeah, but I gathered.
It has been confirmed that E3 will not have an in-person event in 2022 due to, as they say, concerns related to the Omicron variant of COVID. I, as well as many other far more intelligent reporters, call bullcrap. A lot of reporters have stated that they heard reports that they canceled their in-person reservations with the Los Angeles Convention Center months ago. And it really seems like E3 might be done. Because this didn't come with confirmation of any online dates or online events. It simply was canceling the in-person stuff. And it leaves me a little weary. Not a little. It leaves me supremely wary of the future of E3. And I really think last year's fun revival might have been the final blip of the story that is E3.
Yeah, it almost feels redundant at this point. It used to be this big, exciting thing because there weren't really any other game shows. It used to be this big, exciting thing at the beginning of the summer and like, oh, we're going to see all the games. And I feel like the past few years, it's been a little bit disappointing. Well, the past year and then before the pandemic.
Yeah, the year before the pandemic, I thought was particularly bad.
Yeah. I feel like, and to me, this might be crazy. Don't call me out.
Okay.
I feel like the last exciting E3 was 2015.
No, that was the best one in a long time. So
because I'll never forget that one. It was June. They said they announced Fallout 4. They showed Fallout 4, and then they said, "See you guys in October." And that was great. And I feel like everything after that has just been sort of downhill. I can't think of another game reveal that has excited me to that extent at E3. Other game shows for sure, but not at E3.
I can, but they all happened that year. Well, not all. The Final Fantasy VII Remake was announced that year.
You're right.
Along with Shenmue 3, which didn't turn out so good, but was still crazy.
Right.
And the revival of The Last Guardian, which, again, is a divisive game, but was a crazy announcement.
Yes.
I feel like at this point, Microsoft carries E3 so heavily that if Microsoft just did a show in like June or July, that's all that I need, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm sure Nintendo has a Direct cooking up.
Yeah, and Sony does their own thing now. They do their
nothing.
Yeah.
They do just
whatever
they just hang out and release
like,
one.
Oh,
game
do you guys
a year.
want to see Do you guys want to see Horizon again? Like, not really, no, but okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it, I guess.
This doesn't really surprise me. The only disappointment for me would be if last year was the last E3, part of me wishes that we knew that going in.
Yeah, that would be sad.
Because last year almost felt like a return to form because it was almost like a backlog of things were ready to be announced. So if that was the last one, it was a good one to end on. But at the same time, it's like, I kind of wish we had like a eulogy at the end for this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also, I can't see into the future.
I thought you said that you
Um,
could a minute ago in relation to Sonic, right? Or no, the
Did I?
PSVR.
Did I?
Yeah,
I
you said
lied.
like half an hour ago that you could see the future.
I lied about that.
That's ironic that you couldn't see the future to know that you would lie.
Because I lied, because I can't see the future.
All right, what were you
Um,
saying?
I can't see the future, but I do think it's interesting that they're saying this now, that they're sort of blaming the variant, because it's like we don't really know what it's going to look like in June.
No, it's a
Because
scapegoat.
last year in June, we were doing a lot better. But we'll see. Who knows? It could be a lot worse. There could be a new variant. I'm speaking it into existence now. The Delta Omegatron variant.
The Electronic Entertainment Expo variant.
Honestly, if they did have it in person, there would probably be some new variants cooking up over there. All those gamers in one building. Come on, man.
No, thank you. Yeah, this is not. I guess this is something we'll have to keep an eye on. We'll definitely hear developments in the next few months. And I think regardless of that, we're going to have a good summer of fun announcements. Jeff Keighley was very much on the forefront of reminding us that Summer Games Fest is still happening right after E3 was maybe canceled.
She's like, you guys, don't worry.
I got
you.
Don't worry, guys. I got 7 announcements on par with Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Such as...
I'll never trust him again.
You will. You're going to be so excited the next time he has a show. And I know because I will too. And that's the problem. Jeff.
Jeffrey.
Kelly, I got a name for our next segment.
What is it?
Oops.
Oops.
We had a Game of the Year episode a couple weeks ago. Thought it was a pretty good episode. I was pretty proud of it. Were you proud of it, Kelly?
Yeah.
But, alas, we are flawed human beings who do not play every game, which is why we are flawed, because we don't play all the video games. But we had a couple weeks off from the show, had some extra gaming time, and played some games that we missed. So this is kind of like the end of every episode where we review or give impressions of games that we played. However, these are all specifically games released last year that we played now and we'll talk about in our first 2022 episode. Question for you, Kelly, before we begin.
Yes?
Does this at all change the results of your Game of the Year decision from the prior episodes?
No.
Okay.
Does yours?
The verdict, no. A lot of these games would have been contenders, though.
Oh.
So, I'll jump right in. I got a heckin' list for you. First game that I finished over our break was something that I had started, Halo Infinite. I had a very good time with this game. I think that the story was underwhelming. It felt kind of incomplete and like no major story revelations or changes happened. It was sort of a setup for the next game, which is it's fine. But the biggest issue is that I have zero confidence in another campaign coming out anytime soon. So it feels sort of like an unfinished product in that sense. But the gameplay was very nice. The grapple hook mechanic really kept the campaign snappy and fun all the way through. I mostly ignored the open world elements because I tried them out a fair bit at the start and found them kind of unsatisfying. You don't get any major upgrades or things that change how the game plays. And for that reason, I was like, well, I just want to run through the game because I just want to I have what I have already. I don't really need any more. And I don't really enjoy these open world elements. So I just rushed through the campaign. Not rushed, but I only played the campaign, and I think that helped my experience a bit. The other issue I had was that there's no real motivation to finish combat encounters unless you're like locked in a room until you finish a combat encounter. But that turned out to be a positive because I found one of the most fun elements of this game trying to escape and get around fights. Trying to get out of rooms with enemies as quickly as possible was really fun to me. And ultimately, I had a very good time. I think I may have appreciated this game more had I had more experience with the series, because I thought Master Chief was pretty poorly characterized in this game, but I recognize that that's largely because I haven't seen him in the past, so I don't see the progression. I just see a guy who says, like, a couple boring lines, you know? And also, there was a lot of Marvel humor, which it's not really for me, you know? Your main robotic companion, Weapon, as she's called, she makes a lot of very Marvel-esque jokes, which is for some people, but sadly was not for me. But I do recommend this game highly. There was a lot of negatives, but the positives are kind of simple, and the negatives have a lot to be said about, but that shouldn't understate how positive the positives were. The combat and movement mechanics are fantastic, and I highly recommend at least trying this campaign and seeing how you feel. Another game that I played, not to completion by any means, was Forza Horizon 5. I played this for the exclusive purposes of this podcast. I don't like racing games. So, my opinion shouldn't really matter to you if you're interested in this game. But if you don't like racing games very much like me, this game doesn't really do anything to change that. There's no interesting hook that makes it stand apart from other racing games. I found myself wanting to play Mario Kart a lot because I was turning and I wouldn't do a fun drift with fire under my wheels, and I'd go, well, what's the point? So I played a couple hours of this just to get an impression and see if it had some unique hook. But it didn't really. It was freaky. This is just a story. It doesn't affect my opinion of the game. But I didn't know that this game knew your name. It can, like, see the name attached to your account. So during one of the opening cutscenes, they were like, and here's our legendary driver. And, like, I made this cute, pretty girl, and she comes out. And then, like, Andrew. And I was just like, I didn't tell you that.
Oh my god, that's so scary.
And it was very funny, and I'm like, what? I didn't say that. I didn't tell you my name was Andrew. Because, like, it reminded me of the Fallout 4 robot that says your name.
Yeah.
The difference is that you have to type your name into that one. It doesn't just figure it out.
Right.
And also it was spoken. It wasn't just written down.
That's pretty spooky.
Yeah, it was spooky. Speaking of spooks, another game I played just a touch of was Resident Evil 4, which is not a new game. However, the VR version is a new game. I've heard good things about this game, and I've been looking for a new VR experience, so I figured this would be a good way to hop in, and wow, this game was remarkable from the start. It feels fantastic. There's a bunch of really good mechanics that make this stand out from the standard version. It translates really well to VR. It is pretty intense if you're new to VR. I'm playing with the immersive mode, which means I have, like, active movement instead of teleporting. And I played an hour of it, and I was like, I feel okay, but I reached the end of a chapter, and I was like, okay, I'll take a break. And then I sat down in my chair and thought I was going to throw up for, like, 40 minutes. But to be fair, I also don't have great VR legs. Most of the games I play are games where you don't physically move very much. So I highly recommend looking into this if you have an Oculus Quest. But it just does so many interesting things, and just the fact that at the beginning of the game, I kept running out of bullets, and I was like, how do I reload? And I knew how because it taught me, but I just forgot that I literally had to reach down and grab a clip out of my ammo pouch in real time on my leg, and then put it in my gun, and then reload. Like, that was so much for my brain to comprehend at the start. But then once it clicked, it just felt so incredible, so much more fun than pressing, like, square while playing it on PlayStation to reload.
Yeah.
If you've never experienced Resident Evil 4, this is a perfectly adequate way to start. You do not have to play the regular version first. The cutscenes are still told in third person. It basically just cuts to like a theater mode with a big screen, and you watch the cutscenes as they were originally. And then when it cuts to gameplay, you're in first person, obviously. But I thought this was a fantastic adaptation of the game. I'm looking forward to playing all the way through it. It's probably going to be a very long time before you hear those impressions, though, because I got to play this game in baby sessions. Hopefully I'll get used to the VR, the intense movement elements, and can play this game a little quicker, but as it stands, it's probably going to take many sessions before I can finish it. The last few things I got on this list, I did finish. First one was a game called Forgotten City. I heard a lot about this game in the internet gaming sphere because it originally was a Skyrim mod, and it was so popular and well received that the developers decided to form a studio and turn it into an actual full-fledged game. It is a story-driven game where you enter an underground city in a time loop where any person committing one sin causes everybody to be killed instantly. So it is your job to solve the mystery of why everybody's there, what is causing this golden rule, as it's called, to be happening. And it's a really immersive story that does a really wonderful job of linking quests together, so at no point do you feel like you have nothing to do. I got a little locked up like twice maybe in my entire 9-hour run. And I also played it with my partner, and it was a really good story to like confer with somebody about, to discuss ideas and stuff. It's mostly straightforward, but it does require a little bit of thinking. If you enjoy the story of Skyrim, like the way that the story is structured of Skyrim, this feels like a hyper-polished version of that with very little of like the combat. It's mostly just story. So if that sounds even a little interesting, I recommend looking into it. It's on Game Pass. It is not remarkably long. It's a little ugly, but hey, very small team. It's hard to be upset at that. And this was probably like one of my surprise hits of the year, because I had heard a lot about how not revolutionary, but like innovative it was mechanically and how well written the story was. But I got way more invested than I was prepared to be. So if you like Skyrim at all, or the story structure of Skyrim, very, very highly recommend looking into this one. Deep breath. I played so many games. I'm out of breath because of it. Little break from the video games, though. I finished a Netflix series, Arcane, the League of Legends prequel television series. I think I talked a little bit about this, like a tiny, tiny bit, when I tried it at first, right after it released. But I didn't really get hooked, and I decided very recently, before we got back into the podcast, hey, I'd give it another try, see if maybe I could finish it and talk about it on this episode. And it definitely hooked me. In the third episode, there's like some major revelations and twists that changed this series from kind of interesting to extremely engaging for me. If you have some time, it's a pretty brief series. It's beautifully animated. By far, my favorite element was the visual design. The animation, the character design, the artistic direction is just out of this world. The character writing is really nice. The definitive worst part about the series is that it made me interested in League of Legends. So be prepared for that one. Not interested enough to play. Don't worry, audience. I sensed some shivering in the audience when I said that, but don't worry.
They were shivering.
Yeah. Kelly looked like she was going to throw up.
Mm-hmm.
But I will not play League of Legends. I played it once like 8 years ago, and I'll never touch it again. But it did make me more interested in some of like the greater universe products. Like they have other games in the works and stuff. I'm very excited for the second season of this. If you're okay with a show like this, a violent animated show, I recommend it. It's definitely up there as one of my favorite video game adaptations to television. Very little competition in that realm, but it's up there. It reminds me of Netflix's Castlevania a lot. Not visually, they're very, very starkly different, but the way I got invested was very similar to that show. Just that it has very interesting characters and downtime, but the action is incredible, and you look forward to that at all points. Recommend it. Good show. Good adaptation of a video game that I don't want to play. Another game that I played was PlayStation 5 exclusive Returnal. I figured I'd like this one. I like roguelikes. I have liked Housemarque's past games. Is it Housemarque? Or Housemarque?
I feel, how's it spelled?
Like House Marquee. But I hear people say Housemarque.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never even heard of the studio, so I don't know.
They made Resogun, which was one of like the earliest PlayStation 4 exclusives, as well as Dead Nation, I believe. They're mostly an arcade studio, so seeing them make this big third-person action game, even if it was arcadey in its nature, was a really big change. I loved it. I really liked how the combat felt. I like dodging big balls, because every enemy shoots like hundreds and hundreds of giant glowing balls at you. We got a comment on that one? You're just going to lean into the mic for fun?
No comment at all.
Yeah. Anyway, spheres. I'll say spheres instead. Orbs.
I think spheres is good.
Or projectiles. That's probably what I should have said.
I feel like that's worse.
Well, probably. But it reminds me of their past games, because they made like bullet hell action games where you had to dodge countless projectiles. And, when you move to a third-person action game, that's kind of hard to translate. But it really was similar to those games in a shocking number of ways. You move around really insanely. You're so fast. You can jump really far. You can dash in the air. So it feels very arcadey, even though the visuals are a lot more grounded. It has a lot of Lovecraftian horror. The story segments are way scarier than I expected, because they go to first person, and I got spooked by a guy in an astronaut suit several times. Don't recommend that. I mean, I recommend the game, but be ready. It's spooky. Lots of tentacles. Lots of tentacles. Like
lots of balls and lots of tentacles. Sounds like a good time for the game. Sounds like a good game to play. Sounds
I feel
like
like
a
I'm
fun
not allowed
game.
I feel like I have to start over and make sure I avoid the word balls. But in all seriousness, this game was it was a highlight of the year for me. The story surprised me with how engaging it was. It was mostly in the background, and it was pretty straightforward, even though it was like weird and abstract, but at the same time, when they decide to give you story revelations, it's kind of like, oh, now it makes sense. And it wasn't quite as, I'm going to sound really arrogant right now, probably. It wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be. Like, everybody talked about how hard it was, and like, I think the issue is not the difficulty, it's the length of runs. Because my other favorite roguelike from recent memory is Hades. And even a terribly long run in that game is like 30 minutes or so. If you get to the very end of the game and then lose, it's still like 30 minutes. But in this game, my longest run was like almost 3 hours long. So when you lose, it really stings. But I don't think it's particularly difficult. I think it's just you invest so much time that losing feels worse. Yeah. Most of the bosses, I beat a lot of the bosses first try, and the ones I did not, the most tries on a boss I ever had was 3. So I wouldn't say it's incredibly challenging, but do be ready for some intense time investment. Highly recommend it, though. Maybe wait for it to drop in price, because it's still retail price of $70, which is kind of insane to me. But that's a whole nother discussion. I got it on sale, but still, maybe wait for this game to drop to like half of its main retail price. My last game that I played over break was a game that I'm going to have to eat my words about quite a bit. I played It Takes Two. I don't think I would say I trashed on this game on the show, but I feel like I've expressed pretty direct disinterest. And that was wrong. So I'm sorry. This is my notes apology, my notes app apology
To Joseph,
to Joseph Fares. I love you.
I'm glad you apologized to him.
Yeah. I'm mostly apologizing to the audience who I lied to about my opinion of this game. Not lied to, I just had the wrong opinion.
You were uninformed.
I was not informed. There were certain things that threw me off. At first, the cartoony character models with really realistic animation threw me. I didn't like it. But that's only in some cutscenes. Most of the time, they are cartoonishly animated, and I was ignorant to that fact. This is a great game to play if you have like a partner or a good friend that you feel you can play it with, who you won't get mad at. That's a big thing. Because it can be a little frustrating if whoever you're playing with is struggling with their half of like a puzzle and you got your half down. So definitely be ready to work together and support each other. But the story was really good. It was a little crassly written in some parts. Some story elements were not handled very delicately, even though they're a very delicate subject matter. But in the end, I was very invested. I thought the voice acting was fantastic, and I loved the main two characters by the end. And the gameplay really innovated a lot more than I expected. In essence, it's a pretty straightforward 3D platformer, but there's so many different mechanics that get tossed in, and the way that you have to work with player 2 at all points feels fantastic. And some chapters, it feels like one of the characters has like a cooler power-up, and you might be a little jealous, but the next one, you're going to have a cooler power-up. And ultimately, you could just play it again after you're done with the other character, and it will be like a completely different game in a lot of ways. I highly recommend this one. Again, if you have somebody close to you that you think you would have a good time with, look into this one. It is worth getting a second controller if you want to play in the same room or playing online with anybody that you want to. I think if you buy this game, traditionally, you get a code to give to somebody else so they can have a copy as well. So
That's cool.
I got it on Game Pass and played it locally, so I didn't have to go through that, so I don't exactly know what that process looks like, but this game really... It still wouldn't have won Game of the Year. I stand by my Metroid Dread decision, but it would have been very close in the running. Definitely a contender. As well as, honestly, every game that I finished that I mentioned, Halo Infinite, Forgotten City, Returnal, and It Takes Two, would all have been Game of the Year contenders, which is kind of crazy. That's a lot of top quality games to be playing in a short spurt of time.
Yeah.
I am out of breath and my mouth is dry. Take over, Kelly. What did you play?
Okay. So I played a few games that I have already played, and I've already talked about my standards. Dragon Age. I played Cyberpunk. Typical Kelly behavior. But I played 2 new games that I had been wanting to play for a while. I played the first one I'll talk about. I played Tales of Arise, which is a Tales of game. It's the newest one. It came out last year. I am not super far into it. I think I'm like 3 or 4 hours in, but I have a few thoughts. I really like the main character. I think he's kind of dreamy, even though you don't really see his face. He just has a dreamy personality, which I kind of feel that way about a lot of Tales of protagonists. I felt that way about Yuri from Tales of Vesperia. They're just like nice guys, you know?
Yeah.
And I like the design of the world is really pretty. It almost looks like painted, like drawn and painted over. Even like the characters' faces, like the details on their faces. Like the female protagonist, we'll call her. The way her eyebrows are drawn on are really cool. It looks like someone like drew them on with a pencil and then painted them in with like watercolor.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful game. I am still trying to get a hang of the combat. I bought it on Steam, so I'm playing it on PC, not with a controller. I think the game is not optimized for PC. I think the controls are a little bit wonky without a controller. It just feels a little bit awkward to be like keyboard mashing. It would feel better if I was button mashing. And I don't know if that's just because I've played every other Tales of game on a console with a controller or what, but that's been sort of a hurdle for me. But the story's pretty interesting so far. Like I said, I'm only like 3 hours in. My other qualm, I don't know if it's a qualm. It's a little bit confusing. The main character is wearing a mask for like the first few hours of the game. And it's like you have this beautiful main character. He's got a beautiful face. He's a hunk. He's a nice guy. Why are you hiding him from me for this long? I can understand like the first hour, maybe even the first 2 hours. But once you get, maybe it's just based on how I'm playing it. I don't know. I don't think I'm playing particularly slow, but it's like, let me see his face, please.
This is the one from the cover, correct?
Yes. So like, you know what his face looks like. So why are you hiding from me still? Let me see it. Let me see it. Let me see it. Anyway, that's all I really have got so far. I'm sure I'll have a more rounded idea of the game once I really get into it and have like the full party.
Yeah.
And because I feel like the Tales games really don't get super good until you unlock the full party or unlock most of the members of the party. The only game I don't feel that way about, I'm sorry, it's the gold standard, is Tales of Vesperia. I feel like it's the best Tales of game. I love Yuri. I love Estelle. I feel like they're the best best Tales of protagonists, and they have the best chemistry. And I don't know if that's just because it's Troy Baker, or I don't know what's going on. Maybe that wasn't Troy Baker. I can't remember. Anyway,
you're correct. That was Troy Baker.
I had a feeling. I was like, I know it's somebody super popular, but I couldn't remember if it was Troy Baker or somebody else. So those are my initial impressions of Tales of Arise. And like I said, I'm sure I'll have a more robust opinion, more well-rounded opinion as I play more.
Right.
Another game that I played, which I have sunk a lot more hours into, is Baldur's Gate 3. I have never played any of the Baldur's Gate games, but I have seen a lot of like clips and stuff of this one, and I've gotten a lot of recommendations that if you like this game, well, you'll like Baldur's Gate. So it's this big role-playing game. It is not a fully fleshed out game yet. And that is really important to emphasize. It is still in early access. You can only play through chapter 1. So it is really, really bare bones at the minute in terms of like what they have developed. But what you can play does feel very meaty. It feels very good. They've done a lot of patches. They've done a lot of updates. It's basically, it runs on like a D&D system.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like rolling dice, all of the lore and the spells and the attacks. It's all D&D stuff. So if you play D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, I should say, if you play D&D, you probably have a pretty good idea of what certain things do, what certain things are, especially if you're a big lore head. The main story is about like mind flayers, and your character it has the potential to turn into a mind flayer, and you have to find a way to stop that.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting to me. I've never really played a game like this before. The combat system is very I don't know if it's unique to Larian Studios, because they also have made the Divinity Original Sin games, which sort of have that like clicky, like League of Legends sort of movement and combat. But I thought that was going to be a big hurdle for me. It's not. It's actually really fun, and I enjoy finding ways to. It's very challenging, so I enjoy finding ways to sort of think outside the box and do different things and use different spells. For anyone who's curious, I am a tiefling druid, so I feel like the customization options and the role-playing options in this game are insane. So I'm playing a tiefling druid, right? There's this big story, not big. It's a part of the main story of chapter 1. There's this druid, like not town but settlement. I'm sorry, it's not a druid settlement. It's a tiefling settlement, right? So they're the ones that are like, they have the horns. They almost look like little devils. And the druids are worshiping something there. And there's contention between these two groups of people. I was a druid tiefling. So I was like on both sides of the conflict. There was so much that I could do and say to each group of people that just would not be available to me. There was even options for the fact that I was both a tiefling and a druid, which I felt like I love role playing games, so I felt like that was just it was crazy to me. And there's so many different ways that you can solve problems. For those unfamiliar, in D&D, when you're a druid, you can turn into animals and you can speak to other animals. So as a druid, if there were animals around, I could turn into like a cat and talk to a bird, and it would have dialogue, voiced dialogue, and it would be talking to me about like nothing even. Like I talked to a bear once and he was like, I'm trying to sleep right now. You need to leave me alone. And it was a fully voiced line, and it was just such a throwaway moment. It's like so many people will never do this in any of their playthroughs.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's really amazing, and I completely understand that it's taking a long time because it's such a meaty game. It's like it's only in early access right now. It's only in chapter 1, and I have put a lot of hours into it already.
How many is a lot? Am I allowed to ask, Kelly?
Let me look at my Steam profile. Hold on. But like I said, it is challenging. It's kind of like, it's a little bit hard. So in the last week and a half, I've played 14 hours.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Okay.
Which
you
might
like
not,
this game.
yeah, it might not seem like a lot.
That's a lot for a week and a half.
Yeah.
And for a game that only has one chapter.
Yeah. So I feel like if you're into role-playing games, RPGs, you will really, really like this game. You don't even have to be someone who plays D&D or is familiar with D&D to enjoy this game. The companions are really fun. They're all morally corrupt, even though they pretend like they're not. I don't trust them. I do have a favorite companion. He's a vampire.
Of course.
Sorry, that was a huge spoiler. I guess that's not a huge spoiler because it is technically still chapter 1, but and he also has fangs and 2 bite marks on his neck. So if you didn't put the pieces together, that's kind of on you. Just kidding. But I really enjoy it. The music is really good. It's a really pretty game. And I'm like addicted to the gameplay. So if you're really into RPGs, even if you think it would be too difficult, I really think you should try it. It is like a full 60 right now, which does seem like a lot for early access, but
do you get access to the future stuff for free though?
Yeah, and once the game is done, you've already got it. So
yeah.
And you've already got, well, it kind of depends. Because certain patches that they've done, you haven't really been able to carry over certain characters, but other patches you can go from, I'm playing as my Tiefling Druid. I can still play as my Tiefling Druid. I'll probably restart anyway once the full game comes out, but
yeah.
Which who knows when that's going to be. It might be next year.
Tomorrow.
For all I know. I would cry. I would take off work. Nobody heard that.
Heard what?
I never take off work ever.
I think you're allowed to take off. You know what?
To do anything.
Yeah. Not even.
Other than be sick.
Yeah. Well, Kelly.
Anyway.
We're back. We survived the New Year's Day. We didn't succumb to the midnight. I don't know what I'm saying.
How did you have a New Year's Eve countdown? Did you do that?
I was with one person.
Oh yeah.
So we just looked at my phone.
I wasn't even paying attention.
No.
I was so tired. I came home and I laid, and then it was 12, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oops.
Happy New Year.
I literally just played It Takes Two with my partner and didn't really care. We played, and then midnight was approaching. We're like, we should probably stop. So we stopped, and then midnight happened. And we're like, wow.
That sounds really nice.
Do you want to play more It Takes Two? We were very much
As I get older, I find that spending New Year's with just one person is kind of more fun.
Yeah, this is very sentimental and sweet right now.
I know. Well, I'm feeling a little bit sentimental as we usher in the new year.
Yeah. Well, to us, it's been a month since recording because we recorded both of our final episodes in one long sitting right after our last timely episode.
Yeah.
But for the audience, it's been only 1 week off. So to me, it feels sentimental that we're back. But I'm I should remember that the last episode we released ended with us being sentimental about ending it. And that wasn't that long ago for the audience. It was just long ago for us.
Right.
It was a good break, but also I'm glad to be back.
Me too.
This show is a wonderful creative outlet, and I'm excited to get back into it and talk about relevant news again.
Me too. I've been just like talking to myself in the mirror about video game news.
Yeah.
It's really horrific, very scary.
Horrific.
Yeah, if anybody walked in and saw me, they'd be like, we got to get her out of here.
Unless they listen to Talking Games, in which case they would just sit down and listen as though it was an episode.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh my God, premium content. I don't even need to subscribe to the Patreon for this.
Yeah.
We don't have a Patreon.
Yet. Oh, thank you everybody who rated our show on Spotify. We now are officially a 5-star show. So thank you everybody. Thank you for making us a 5-star show on Spotify.
Thank you guys.
Well, everybody, we'll be back next week for another episode of Talking Games with Kelly and me.
Bye.